Firstly, before the practice, we listen a briefing about the safety in library and using the Kwun safety. Then I and my teammate need to do a timber cube as a warm-up for the doing former in afternoon. We use some plywood to cut it by handsaw in order to get a required shape in afternoon. I need to do a formula after calculation of the length of each section according to picture of video of the formula given by professor. We had cut some plywood to require length and shape. Then we install the plywood panel on right location by using nails to connection each side. I need to do a piece of steel to connect it on the steel frame first. In order to get a required length and shape of the connection steel, we need to calculate the length of each side and angle of steel. Then we had cut a piece of steel by cutting machine to change the shape of the steel. After shaping, we need to calculate the position for drawing by drawing some line on the surface of steel and mark it down the position. Then we had drawn a hole in the steel and film for the connecting by bolt. I am very carefully to use the machine because this machine is very dangerous, so protection equipment and is very required in this practice. In the end, we fix the steel and film by bolts. Is used to determine the surface hardness and the strength of concrete. I carry out the rebound hammer test, then I need to record the value I got. If the value is around the given value, it means I perform this function well. I follow the procedure step by step to do and record the data I got. Besides, I'm very careful when I use the rebound hammer because its strength can break my arm, so it's quite dangerous. Before using the hammer, I need to check its value is up to standard or not. Then we need to do two tests. For the cover meter test, measuring potential difference with a high resistance volume meter. This test can determine which position of the reinforcement steel in the concrete. After using this equipment, I think this test is very slow and very intensive. Moreover, the test can be easier evaded. For the half-cell potential test, it detects the voice, honeycomb, and inside the concrete by nothing the unusual temporary ring. Is considered for major. Before the practice, the professor introduced us some different type of angles. Usage of these angles, future mode of angles, and application. Then the professor showed us how to use the deformation control the expansion angle. Finally, the engineer showed the installation of chemistry-based angle. He put a bed of chemical into a drawer hole and directly installed an angle on the hole. The bed with chemical filter was broken and firm form a layer between the conquest. During the production, different ratio of components to show the actual effects. We were given a list of different data for making the conquest. We had to calculate the excess weight of different material by given ratio. Then we did the conjugation test next day to show how the different ratio of components will affect the conjugation strength of concrete. For the providing reinforcement fixing for our former practice in afternoon, we got detail about connection of steel bars. We used the steel bars cutter to cut the bar in order to get the required length of the steel bar. Moreover, we used the benders to change the shape of the steel bar for getting the required shape. We were given a list of different data for making a conquest. We had to calculate the excess weight of different material by different ratio. After we measured the weight of each component by the platform scale, we had put these components into concrete mixer for mixing concrete. In the end, we had put the concrete into our former and had used the vibrator to advise honey bombing. After that, we had refilled some concrete at the top because there are some leakage. After one day, we check our concrete and see whether the concrete would stand firmly enough. Although there were about 60 hours after the casing, we are successful to produce a good concrete. Finally, when the concrete hardened, we saw it contained many honey bombs. We checking the horizontal and vertical carefully because it's very important and affects directly the quality of the layer. Then we use the cement mortar mover. We fill the height of cement mortar as same as the base and avoid to leave any hole. After our practice, the professor showed how to do the mosaic tile and wall tile finish. Then he checked the horizontal and vertical carefully and remained us. I have a briefing about how to set up a 2-story scaffold before the practice. Professor has introduced some safety equipment to us because some of us need to work on the top floor of the scaffold. Then we have added the scaffold by combining jockboard, ladder, transom, and bench. Then I need to work in upper story, so we connect the ladder. Including the second story, we repeat the same combination of ladder, transom, and bench. Leveling is very important in order to connect a right position. On the other hand, we need to check the leveling when the scaffolding is complete. In the end,